Hello, I'm Tom Ryden, the Executive Director of Mass Robotics, and I'm excited to talk to you today a little bit about our experiences with robotics and the pandemic. This has been a challenging year and a difficult year. Our hope would be to be in Daegu in person, but we can't do that. So rather, I'm going to give you this quick presentation and tell you a little bit about Mass Robotics and what we're seeing. So Mass Robotics' mission is to really help enable small companies to get started, form, and grow and focus on the robotic, IoT, and AI space. So we do that in a number of ways, but we're really excited about helping these companies develop their products and get their products to market. There are three main things that we do. We grow the robotics ecosystem here in Massachusetts in the United States. We work with over 300 companies in the greater Boston area, and these are companies that range from large robotics established players such as an iRobot or Amazon Robotics, all the way down to startups. There are a large number of mid-sized companies in the 50 to 100 person range doing a few $1 million in revenue that really make up the bulk of our ecosystem. And we work together with these companies to help them connect, to know who else is in the ecosystem, and hopefully connect them to potential customers or partners. And finally, we work together closely with the state and a little bit on the federal level to help advocate for rules and regulations that support this industry. In addition, we run an innovation space, which is where I am today. And in the background, you may see one of the robots that we provide our companies that work in our space to use as tools. Our space is really laid out to support robotics companies and all of the different hardware that they're developing. We have many different robots that are available for our startups to use. We have AMRs, a lot of industrial arms, everything from collaborative to traditional factory automation. We even have humanoids that are available for our startups to help develop on. And finally, we help our startups through connections to investors, suppliers, and so forth. We also do, we have an extensive effort in STEM education, and the picture on the upper right shows one of our classes with our Valkyrie humanoid robot and some of our instructors. We offer classes for middle schools and high schools, and primarily focused on getting involved with robotics, getting excited about science careers, and hopefully maintaining that and continuing to focus on that as they go on to their next level of education. Our space is a little bit different. Many people think of us as an accelerator, an incubator. We really take companies that are a little bit further on in their stage of development. Usually the companies have a prototype or have done some market work. They might have gone through an accelerator. There's a number of great ones here in Massachusetts and a number throughout the US. And they're looking to actually take their product and get to market with it. And that's where we think we can help and add value. As I said, we have over 50 companies. This is just a snapshot. They cover a wide range. We have underwater companies, drone companies, a lot of factory automation. We have warehouse automation. We have AI sensing companies. It's really quite an interesting mix. And by having so many different types of robotics companies, getting them together allows them to exchange ideas, thoughts, especially around software, common software, and things like that. It's been a little bit more difficult now with COVID, but we are still active and trying to get these companies to work together and partner with each other. So I want to talk a little bit about the pandemic and its impact on the robotics community. For us, we physically had to shut down this space in March, and we reopened in June with new protocols in place to allow everybody to socially distance. And so we've slowly seen our companies come back, and our space is now active, but with all sorts of new rules in place. But what has the industry seen in the US? And really, I think number one is the US manufacturers are increasing their use of robotics and automation. This is going to take time. There is no stockpile of robots or integrators that can just all of a sudden help these companies add this technology. but they are planning for it. They're planning for it for two main reasons. One is they want to mitigate the reliance on global supplies that they don't really have full control over. So global supply chains from all over the world. And they also want to improve the resiliency of their factories in the US. We had a number of factories here that have had problems where there's so many workers on the line and COVID came into the factory, and then soon it took the entire factory down. And so can they use robots to improve the resiliency of that? Obviously, e-commerce is changing. Here in the US, we are seeing a huge spike in ordering online. And right now, and this is based on a study by MHI, but only 39% of warehouses have the automation that I think we all know about, the type of mobile platforms that like Amazon Robotics delivers, or Six Rivers or others. But that's expected to grow, and they interviewed over 400 warehouses, and they're going to grow to 73% adoption of robotics in 3 to 5 years. That's a huge growth. And it's driven by everybody's purchasing. Bain did a study recently that showed in the pandemic, so this is based at the beginning of the year, basically over 4 months, the US online grocery spending went from 3% to 10%, over 10%. That is a huge spike. And of course, online grocery purchase is one of the largest areas of transactions in the US. And then finally, I talked about this before, but using robots to better socially distance, using collaborative arms. I mentioned that it's hard to actually integrate robotics in a full production, but what we're seeing is people using these collaborative arms to do simple spacing. Take and put them in between two people on a line, and the robot is just simply passing parts along, but it allows them to have a greater distance between workers. And then obviously robotic picking, we're seeing a great increase in that because of, as you can imagine, less touch points with that. So we want to highlight a couple of companies that we here work with at Mass Robotics that are doing things in this area. We have a company called the Ventilator Project that developed over a couple of months a low-cost ventilator. It was about I think they're targeting $3,000 for that device. These were from folks who were already at Mass Robotics, but realized they had the technical skill to build one of these products. We also have another company called Black Eye Environmental that is working on disinfecting robots. And you see in the picture, the bottom picture there, they have a UVC one, and the one on the right is actually a hydrogen peroxide-based mister. So a lot of development in that area. We also have companies that have transitioned a bit. So one of our companies took the technology that they were using for their robotic system and developed a system that monitors temperature. So on the upper right is a picture of that system. It's set in our lobby, and you basically walk right up to it. Within a matter of seconds, it tells your temperature, and then there's a lot of back-end analytics that can track trends, understand who is checking in and making sure everybody's following the rules and having their temperature checked. And then finally, on the bottom is a picture of Spot. I think many people know the Spot from Boston Dynamics, but this was work that they teamed with MIT at the Brigham and Women's Hospital. They have Spot doing vital sign monitoring and moving through the robot through different areas, allowing healthcare workers to essentially be a little bit further removed from some of these monitoring things. Finally, I just want to say about where we expect things to be going. It's clear that COVID is accelerating the shift to robotics. We're seeing a very strong interest in what we call a reduction of product-specific factories, or really more flexible factories. As one of the people we talked to said, how do we make smartphone assembly lines become healthcare PPE lines overnight? They view robotics as the ability to do that. They think that robotics need to be less task specific than they are today and be autonomously reconfigurable. We talk about new robotics for delivery methods as well. There's a lot of development here about sidewalk delivery, last mile delivery. Nobody's deploying that yet, but we expect that to continue to grow. The demand is there from the customers. And then finally, robots to better assist in healthcare innovation. And we think there's a huge opportunity there. So that's a little bit about mass robotics and what we see today. Thank you very much for letting me share this, and I look forward to hearing from the other speakers. Thank you.